What a treat. I can't tell you how excited I am today. Today we have a very special guest. But first, I'm looking good, feeling good, loving life. I hope you can say the same today. Our guest, she is the heart of Shimmer Champion. She is Zoey Skye. Zoey, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Sorry, my hands are freezing.
That's all right. I don't mind. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Sure.
How did a love of wrestling start for you?
I can't even tell you when. Just, when I was younger, growing up, my mom started watching wrestling, or she was watching it. I just started picking it up, watched Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and stuff, and just fell in love with it and wanted to do nothing but watch and live wrestling.
Did you have any favorites whenever you were growing up?
Shawn Michaels.
Okay,
Shawn Michaels
sure.
was my absolute favorite. But I was to the point where I didn't care who it was. I just loved professional wrestling, and I wanted to watch anybody I could.
How did you find out about independent wrestling?
I actually didn't find out until right before I started training. My mom found a local promotion late night on a TV. She's like, hey, just check this out, and never heard of it, never knew what it was. Stayed up late one, Thursday or Friday night or something, found Cleveland All Pro Wrestling, and I had no idea what it was, but it wasn't too far from where my weekend drills were for the military, so I went in and stopped in. There was probably only 2 matches left of the show, and I immediately fell in love with it.
So when you started with Cleveland All Pro. Who were your trainers there?
JT Lightning initially started it, and then Johnny Gargano took over training
What
not too long after.
Well, what are your memories of the late, great JT Lightning?
For all the stories that I hear, I definitely missed a lot, not knowing or meeting him sooner than I did. I've never had anything other than a good time around him. I always was learning something from him, whether it be in the ring or backstage or just one time I went to hand him my monthly pay, and he turned around, took my money, and turned around and said, "Oh, you're short." Man, I counted that money like 30 times. I knew I wasn't short. He was just, teaching me a quick little lesson, like make sure you count the money in front of the person, little things. From that on, anytime I was around him, I learned something. And like I said, I wish I had met him sooner to learn more from him.
What was it like training with Johnny Wrestling?
It was fun, actually. The stuff I learned then compared to what I'm doing now, I wish I was able to continue under his tutelage after he, took a little break from training and came back, and of course now before he was gone to NXT. It was good. Just the training atmosphere in general was great. I loved training with him and the rest of the guys that were there at training. He had so much knowledge even at a young age. It was hard to realize and keep up with him. Just a very smart and well-rounded wrestler.
What year was that when you started training?
I started training in late 2006.
Okay, so the Avengers are out. Lots of superpowers. Let's say I had a superpower, and right now I could send you back in time. You today, what would you tell that brand new trainee? What would you tell them to do the same? What would you tell them to do differently?
The same. Oh man. I know what I would do differently. I would have. Granted, I was at every training session, during the week that we had when I first started. Once I started going and having matches, I slowly started to dwindle away from going to training as often as I did, and I wish that I would have continued going on a regular basis as often as I did. I also wish I would have realized that there were other training schools locally. While I knew that there were. I went and trained with like Mega Championship Wrestling up in Elyria a couple times, times here and there. I wish I would have branched out and went to other training schools, even for just 1 or 2 days, here and there, in and out. I wish I would have just went and opened my boundaries, I guess, a little bit more. But the same, I don't know that I'd do anything the same. Not that I have to change everything. I would just do more. Especially when it came to training.
What were some of the early obstacles that you faced when you first started training, or even wrestling? When your first 10 matches, what would you say some of your early obstacles were?
I don't want to go back and see any of those matches for sure, but I definitely, growing up, and even now I guess, I'm not much of a people person. I don't like talking, I don't like the sound of my voice, I don't like the attention being on me.
Seem fine now.
Right. Getting used to doing interviews and podcasts, and of course, being in the ring and being more vocal as a person has opened that up a lot. I I never liked being around people. I hated people judging my appearance and my body. I didn't like the way I looked in certain things. Just what I would like. My first couple of matches, I didn't have actual gear, so I wore some shorts and a tank top and stuff. But it was hard for me to get used to wearing tights. It was hard for me to even wear shorts short enough to show some leg. Just little things I always had an issue with. It took a lot for me to finally get a little bit comfortable. Even now, I'm not always comfortable, but I've become a lot more comfortable realizing that if I want to keep doing this and I want to make something more of it, I just have to get out of those that comfort zone and just realize that there's more to it.
When I first met you, you were Angel Dust.
Yes.
Today,
Yes.
Zoey Skye.
Right.
Why the change?
Man, I wish I'd done it sooner. I'd had a plan, I guess, years ago to actually probably not long after around the time I met you. I needed a change. The name Angel Dust just kind of stuck after my first match. And I just kind of figured, well, let's see what happens. It's not a big deal. And I had no idea what else to do name-wise. Getting out and about a little bit more and just realizing that, I go to a show at a school or something. Like, oh, well, we don't want to use that name. Makes sense. All right, so let's just use Angel. And I didn't really care for it. It wasn't me. It wasn't what I wanted. And like I said, I've had the name Zoey lined up now for a couple of years, and it just took me a while to finally go, okay, I'm just going to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know the right way to go, okay, let's just make this name change. I never took any time off. Thankfully, I don't want to speak too soon, but no major injuries. I needed to get away. So it just became kind of, well, let's just do it and see what happens. And here we are. Now, Zoey Skye is starting to get out and about a little bit.
You certainly are getting out and about. You've had some real success. Almost, it seems like an overnight success, but clearly not an overnight success. Along the way, were there ever times when you thought, I'm not going to get to where I want to be?
Yeah, I still think that.
What kept you driven to continue?
I just love pro wrestling. I love being able to go out on a weekly basis and perform in front of people. Like I said, from being a shy, quiet, young girl growing up, that I never wanted to be in front of people and have the attention on me. Now that's what I want. And I'm trying to get more comfortable and trying to get better at that. But I just don't see myself doing anything else that would bring me as much happiness as being able to wrestle.
We all have doubters. We all have haters. We all have people that will anonymously say things about us. I'm first in line for that. What would they say about you, though? What are some of the things that maybe you've heard said about you along the way?
I've gotten a lot that I'm too small. Over the last couple of years, I've picked up my routine in the gym and stuff to try and look more the part. God, I really don't even know. I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff that people have said, but it's one of those things too where even though it might be out there and people might say it, I try to ignore it. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to do that, especially when things are coming in 30 different directions. Thankfully, if things are actually said, I just generally don't hear them. But I don't care so much. Like I said, I'm small. I might not be as good as I would hope to be in 11 years in, but I'm trying to get better and improve every day. So hopefully they don't have too much bad to say.
So this is one of the questions I'm most curious about. As a female, as a woman in the wrestling business, how do you feel that your struggle to get to where you want to get to is different, or maybe even the same as, say, a young man in the wrestling business trying to get to where they want to get to?
And obviously it's not easy for everybody, and you know that too. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. Like I said, for me, I'm so much smaller. You get a girl with a decent size and a decent look that, it's like, oh, well, we like her. We don't necessarily care how young she is or how, green she is in the business, but, let's give her a try over this other girl. Things like that happen, and the same thing happens with the guys. I guess it's just one of those things where I try to find ways to make myself different in any way that I can, including like a name change. That way I can find a way to stand out so that while those progressions in my career might take a little bit longer than some others, I'm still getting to where I want to be.
So, I guess getting back to the question a little bit, for a female in the business, when you travel around, because I've been on lots of sort of backwoods sort of shows, and I know you have too. When you're in a locker room, while you'll meet tons of great people, you also meet some terrible people. And I guess I'm trying to envision how it would be for a woman being in a locker room, maybe filled in some podunk town in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of uneducated boys, the boys club, mistreating a woman on the show. Have you run into that? Or have you been pretty fortunate to stay away from that?
I've pretty much been able to stay away, but I've heard horror stories. You know, I guess like you said, when you get kind of away from the cliche bigger promotions, like the bigger cities and bigger areas, it's not that it's harder or more difficult in any way, but it's just the attention goes sometimes more negative because, oh, well, there's this girl. Well, who is she, and why is she here, and why does she get a spot over these guys? Or, but you get that anywhere. You know, I thankfully I haven't had too many issues and too many, poking it. Well, we don't want Angel Dust, we don't want Zoey Skye, we don't want this girl, we don't need the girls. I think there's just, sometimes other people have more issues that I haven't seen. So I guess for me, I guess I've just been lucky.